everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of Magical Life with me, Yasshodhara. Since this is the introductory episode of Magical Life, the series that I was talking about in my introductory video of the channel, I thought I should make it all about me because I will be able to explain to you what is the concept of magical life, how it came to life, and how I'm going to take it forth. Also, in the meanwhile, through this episode, you'll also get to know me a little better, your host, Yasshodhara. You'll get to know me a little better and you'll also learn what magical life is all about. So, how did magical life come about? So, it's personally about me, starting with me actually. I have always been a very keen listener rather than a talker. I've always been the person who would sit quietly and I would listen to people. If I'm sitting with somebody in front of me, I would rather listen to them, really try to understand them, than rather give more input and talk more. So that has been my nature, always. Referring to notes, as usual, I told you, because thoughts keep running here and there in my head and I need to keep a track. So listening and understanding anything, any matter at hand. I was the person in school and in my university days who used to ask the most questions in the class. I mean, some people probably despised me for it, but that was how I was. I was the question box of the class. I used to really be curious about things. I am still curious about things. So I'm also very curious about people, really understanding people and trying to understand their psychology, their thoughts, that unraveling them. So if you saw me ever in a room full of people, you'd see me as the quietest person sitting in the corner somewhere and just listening to people, not eavesdropping, listening to people and just observing people. That was my thing. I mean, unless you came to me for a conversation, I'll just be taking in the energy of the whole place and understanding feeling it rather. So yeah, like I said, sensing and observing always came naturally to me. So Shefali, who was like a mentor to me and almost like a life coach to me, she one day said to me that, hey, why don't you start, interviewing people and just making videos? And I really thought, okay, yes, why not? I mean, I like doing that. I mean, I really listen to people and I like understanding their thoughts and asking them questions to understand them even more. So why actually not? I mean, why shouldn't I do that? I mean, I could make a whole thing out of it, and that is how the idea of magical life initially came about. So the name Magical Life, I kept the name Magical Life because life indeed is magical. I mean, if you really think about life, nothing is constant, nothing is constant. Change is the only constant. I mean, if you see yourself moment to moment, minute to minute, you are changing. I mean, you're not the same person that you were 5 minutes ago, because you are exposed to many different factors, environmental factors, or something happened which you picked up, something new information you picked up, you saw something on the internet, anything, and you're a different person. Your brain changes. Your cognitive function, shapes itself differently according to what information it picked up. Your body changes because your physiology keeps changing moment to moment. Your cells die and regenerate every moment. And all of it is so interesting, so magical. I mean, so much of change is happening inside you, yet you are the same person. I mean, yeah, that's amazing. Everything is changing. It's the constant. Yet we are the same person. So I also thought about the butterfly effect. I don't know how many of you have actually watched the movie The Butterfly Effect. But it's a very interesting movie, you should watch it. Well, the butterfly effect is a theory basically that every moment, every decision that you take, every action that you do causes a huge ripple effect. I mean, anything that you do today is going to change the course of your life in a different way, and that affects many people around you and people who you know, and also people who you don't know, because people who you know, their lives will change somehow, and then people who you don't know, because they know, theirs will also change. I mean, for example, you quit your job today, so that will change somebody else's life too, isn't it? Because that somebody will have to fill up that spot that you left empty. So that person's life also changes. Any decision that you take will affect another person's life, and this is called the butterfly effect. You know, it's a ripple effect. It's just amazing to think that we human beings, we tiny little particles in this huge universe, can cause, such a domino effect, such a huge wave of change. One decision of ours, one action of ours can change, and this is magical. I mean, life is magical. We are doing magic every day, and yet we don't realize that. It's simply amazing. The thought of it simply just makes me wonder how amazing this whole universe is, and how amazingly everything was created, and how entangled everything is to each thing. I mean, there's not one thing that is not connected to the other. After all, it's all just energy. Okay, so yeah, magical life. That's how it came about. So I wanted to keep the interviews as personal as I could. I mean, I know the pandemic is raging through, the travel restrictions everywhere, but I wanted to actually still meet the people, talk to the people directly, and then interview them, because I feel that every person carries an aura around them, an energetic field. For example, if you meet somebody, you have your own energetic field. You meet somebody, you don't have to even speak with them probably sometimes, and you realize that you connect with them. Somehow that person is in sync with you. That is their energetic field speaking. And that energetic field, that aura, I believe rather, is very important to having in-depth conversations, meaningful conversations. And since I want to have meaningful conversations on this series of Magical Life, I always wanted that I would rather meet the people and question them and talk to them, look at their eyes, understand them, and talk to them and bring out something out of them, rather than doing a video call. I mean, there were so many people that I could have interviewed, but I could not because of the travel restrictions. I mean, I did not want to go on a Zoom call or a video call and just make a video interview out of it, because I felt that somehow the energy flow between the two people, the interviewee and the interviewer, would be deterred. And I did not want that to happen. So I stuck with the theme of personal meets, taking all precautions, of course. Yeah, but I promise to keep working on it, trying to bring out as many stories as I can, despite the travel restrictions and everything. I'll try to hustle as much as I can. I'll be trying to bring out, as many stories as I can, despite the pandemic raging and almost India being the first in the world. Yeah. So, like I said in my introductory video, that the first season of Magical Life is all about millennials, because millennials are the people, I feel, who are now changing the world. I mean, we are taking on different career paths, we are jumping careers, People are doing every sort of thing. Things which were unthinkable of as careers probably a decade ago are now careers. I mean, nobody thought of YouTubing as a viable career. But there are people who earn lakhs and millions out of YouTube. Now, it's a viable option of career. I mean, so millennials are the ones who you'll see are changing the world. The technology is changing everything. And millennials and Gen Z, of course, are, keeping at pace with it and are changing things. So I thought that the first episode should be about that, because magical life is also related to change somehow. Like I talked before, like the change is the only constant. So millennials are the change. They are bringing out the change in the world. So I thought it should be about millennials. And I'm quite a lucky person. I'd say I'm blessed to have many amazing friends who are in such career paths, who are doing amazing things in their lives, different things in their life. And I thought, why not bring out the stories of such people? I mean, we already know the stories of people who have made it in life, who have made their name, made an impact, made an impression, and we already know them, they're celebrities. But there are very few interviews of sorts or talk shows of sorts where people who are still struggling and hustling and are on the path of becoming something are interviewed. I mean, we don't know the journeys or the ongoing journeys. We rather know the end story of how somebody became someone. We know it at the end after the person becomes someone, but we don't know while the process is ongoing. So I thought that this would be an interesting thing to see these people hustling, working their asses off, working hard, having these dreams in their eyes of becoming something, and working day in and day out for their dreams. So I thought it would be such a valuable thing to talk to them and bring out their stories, their lessons, and everything. And I thought I could learn from them. I mean, this is a huge learning lesson for me. Plus, I thought this would be a huge learning lesson for you guys too. I mean, you could take out tiny bits of information from every interview and apply it to your own life. And yeah, I mean, this makes your life useful too. While I get to expand also, while that person also gets to expand, it's like benefits for everybody, basically. So yeah, that was about magical life. I'm looking at my notes. But coming to my story, so I have just closed my notes. Life does give lemons. You know what happened? I shot the entire video, and at the end I realized that my camera stopped recording halfway. So anyway, the light changed, so I had to change the lighting and everything. So okay, now we're good to go. So, well, I'm gonna start from the part where I was talking about my life. So we talked about magical life, that was how it came about and everything, and now I'm gonna talk about myself. So to begin with, I'd say I should begin with my childhood, right? That is how you'll get to know how I am the person that I am today. I had a very atypical childhood, let's say. It wasn't the easiest of childhoods because I didn't have the happiest of parents in life. My parents weren't really the epitome of a happy couple. And my dad passed away when I was quite young. I was just 10 years old, and it has only been my mother who has raised me and my sister after that. So my mom has a huge impact on who I have become today, because I watched her struggle to be the breadwinner and also to be a parent, all the while also trying to prove herself as a woman, because this is from, 15, 20 years ago, when she had to, prove herself as a woman, a capable woman in a very male-dominated career path. She's a veterinary doctor, a professor of medicine, and back then there weren't too many women. So she had to prove herself out there. She had to earn money, do her job. She had to fend for us, and she also had to raise us. So she struggled a lot, and seeing her struggle, I do not have too many idols in life. I don't really call anybody that this is the person I aspire to be, but she has had a huge impact on me becoming who I am. And yeah, seeing her struggle has made me the person I am, because she was so resilient, she was so gritty, she still is. And in a way, to stand your own ground, this is what I learned from her. And these are the moral lessons that I got from her, watching her, day in and day out. She had no time for herself. She had to, to do anything for herself. It was either her career, her job, and her children. She had to balance both of them, and there was no time for herself. And that woman made it happen. She raised two daughters, two capable daughters, and made something out of them, because she had that strength in her. So I feel as a woman, I am a huge supporter of women. I am a feminist in and out, or maybe a feminazi sometimes, like some people would say. Because of that, I really support women, because women need to be strong. Women have to have their own source of earning, their own source of comfort, of, otherwise it's a difficult world for women. It is. And that's what I learned from her. I have probably 4 or 5 pillars, which I would say are my pillars of my moral values, integrity, honesty, grit, resilience, and persistence. Those are my sole things that I will never let go of. I have promised to never let those go off. If I ever fail at those, I would say that I failed at life. Grit and resilience I learned from my mother. No matter how many times you fall down in life, no matter how many obstacles that you face in life, if you're gritty enough, if you don't have the talent even to do something, if you're not naturally gifted at something, but if you keep pushing at it, if you keep getting up and trying again, if you have the grit to do that. There is an interesting book, I forgot the author's name, named Grit. You should read it. Yeah. So no matter how many times you fail at life, no matter how many times you fall down, you will be able to succeed if you have the grit and the resilience. You get up, dust yourself, go on again, try at it again. Integrity, persistence, these things, honesty. Never sell yourself for a bit of comfort. Never sell, I don't mean sell, but I mean sell your own values, or compromise your own values, or compromise yourself in any situation for anything. Keep your honesty, keep your integrity intact. That is something which is I completely believe in, and these are some soul things which I learned from my childhood through watching my mother. And yes, I abide by these, I live by these. These are my core values that I will always live by. If I fail at it, I fail at life, I would say. Yeah. So I had quite the atypical childhood, right? I'd say. So my mom was so busy, she had no time for anything. Me and my sister were pushed out into the world to fend for ourselves, to learn how to live, to survive, to, do our own chores and everything by ourselves. We grew up already at a very young age. And I was a science kid, okay, in class 10 and 12 and 11. I picked science because I was somehow very good at biology, and I was a very confused kid, okay. Initially I was the shyest, most timid, most skinniest. I'm still skinny, you can see. Like, you can imagine my childhood, then how much of a skinny person I was. I was like, almost bullied through my childhood for being so skinny and like weak and soft spoken. Not like, I wasn't that person. But slowly and slowly, watching my mother, watching the people around me, I somehow got the strength. I started building the strength to speak up, to stand up, to be a stronger person. I started playing. That's when I started developing my strength. Basically, I'm a very strong person. I am 40 something kgs, but I am a strong person. I'm a hell of a strong person. Yeah, like as strong as I can be in this body. I am a strong person. I started playing basketball. I started being an athlete. I started going out, putting out everything that I could do. Because I always felt that I was short at something. I was not up to my mark. Something was lacking, and I wanted to be someone better, like to stand out. And because I felt like I was always a tiny kid when I was in my younger years, and I always felt that emotional complex inside of me that I am not good enough. But later, somehow, something changed in me. I started playing, and I used to play with boys. I used to play with boys because I felt I needed a level above me, which I could challenge and compete with so that I become better. So even if I was playing basketball throughout school, even if I was running around and playing volleyball or whatever, I was always with the guys. I was not a girly girl throughout school at all. Sorry, not trying to offend any of the girly girls. It's okay, you're a girl, you can be a girly girl, it's alright. But I was more of a tomboyish girl. I used to like play, I used to like run around, be in the sun, like be tanned like hell. I remember I was a KB student, so we used to wear, our uniforms used to be salwar kurta at that time, and before that skirts. So like I remember, like the part from here would be like entirely darkened, and this would be absolutely fair. All my socks and my feet would be like completely fair, and the rest would be like tanned. So that much I used to be out in the sun and playing and pushing myself just to have that confidence, to build that confidence that I can do something, I'm good at something. I wasn't the brightest in the initial years of my growth. I wasn't the brightest student in the class because there was so much going on in the personal life, in the personal front, because my mom was struggling. She wasn't in a happy marriage. I'm saying everything out, okay, Mom? Please chill, pill, okay? So yeah, so I wasn't so good at studies initially, but slowly and slowly, as I gained confidence, as I started playing, some energy formed inside of me, and I started gaining the confidence which I could even apply to my studies. I started getting better slowly. So I was a science kid. Trust me, my biology was very good, but my maths was horrendous. If I took maths, if I didn't leave maths for my 11th and 12th, trust me, I'd still be doing 11th and 12th till now. I was that bad. So I remember, okay, I was probably in class 10 or 2011, and Vogue, the magazine Vogue, launched in India for the first time. And I still remember the first copy of Vogue that I bought. It had Katrina Kaif on its cover in a pink sort of a gown, in a green sort of a background. I remember it so vividly. And I was dropping my mother off with my uncle at the airport. She was going off for one of her training programs for career improvement and stuff. She used to do a lot. She used to hustle so much those days. So yeah, and I bought that magazine, and it was the spring summer edition. And trust me, a whole different world opened up for me that very moment, the moment I opened that magazine. So much creativity just was on my face, and I was fascinated by it. Like, I was starstruck, like that this is art, this is real art. I was always a very artistic, creative student. I wasn't a studious sort of a student. I was more into arty sort of a student, you know. I like to sketch, I used to paint. I mean, if you follow me on my social media, you know that I do all of that still. So, and I saw that this is real art. I mean, this is art because, you know, people wear that art, people live in that art. I realized that, you know, we are directed, our lives, our lifestyles are directed by this art, fashion. I mean, look at us, whatever I'm wearing right now is this time's art, this time's fashion. 90s, something else. 80s, 70s, 50s, 60s, every decade's pictures you look at your grandfather's, grandmother's pictures, your parents' pictures, or even beyond them, and you will see a different fashion. I mean, lifestyles are different. It dictates, and I realized the power of fashion. It's everywhere. It directs our lives. I mean, and we just dismiss it as something so frivolous, something so unimportant. We just say these are just clothes, but then you're living life in these clothes. Your pictures are being taken in these clothes. You're creating memories in these clothes. You know, you will remember, you know, 10 years ago what you were wearing for a special moment in your life. And that is what fashion does. And I realized that this is a different world of creativity, and I was fascinated by it. But I was a science student, I was very good at biology, and my mother thought that I should go into a career which was more biology oriented, basically. So I told her at that time that I really want to get into fashion, and coming from an academic background like her, both my parents are academicians, scientists, and they live in that environment. And it is, at that time, 10 years ago, it is unheard of somebody's daughter going off and becoming a model and, you know, or a fashion designer. It wasn't accepted as a viable career option. And she said no. And I said, then I don't know what to do. I'm a confused person. You tell me whatever, I'll do that. And that is how I ended up as a veterinary doctor. So in the first year of veterinary science, I was like, you know, I was denied the career of my choice. I was taking it a little casually. I wasn't very, you know, very serious about my studies. I was more of, you know, into sports or into riding horses. I'm a horse rider, yeah. Okay. And I was into NCC. I was a senior officer in the NCC squadron back then. And I was more into those things. Those things fascinated me more than rather just studying anatomy, physiology, microbiology, nutrition. I wasn't into it. But I always, in the back of my mind, I knew that, you know, coming from that background with two parents who are veterinarians and they're professors and they're scientists, I have to prove my mettle. I knew it, but yet I did not really take my first year seriously, and my first year results came and I was not in the list of the rank holders. I think I came fourth. And that was like a slap on my face, because just I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to make it into something of an overachiever sort of a thing, but I'm just trying to show you the pressure that children go through at that age. Children, especially when they are in the same careers as their own parents, they have a lot of burden. They have to prove themselves because there are other people who are actually looking at their parents and just watching their kids. Okay, how is your kid faring right now? And I realized that no, I can't take this lightly, casually. I have to work my ass off. And my classmates, whoever is watching right now, they would know what I did after that. I studied like hell. I did not leave my sports, my horse riding and anything, because I'm a person who cannot stick to just one thing and do one thing at a time. I need to be doing several things at a time to be able to actually be productive. And I kept up with those things and I studied. My whole 5 years went like that. Just being in the library, or being in the horse riding field, or being in the NCC, or when it's the college meets time, playing volleyball, basketball, whatever else, running on the track, long jump, high jump, everything. God, I did everything. So yeah, so they know, like my classmates would know that what I did, I just focused all of my energy into just proving. That was my single only thing that I needed to prove, that Dr. So-and-so and Dr. So-and-so's daughter is their daughter. She can prove her mettle. And that's how eventually I graduated at the top of my university. And I'm not tooting my own horn here, please don't think that I'm doing that, I'm just telling you. And after that came the time of masters. And I wanted to become a surgeon initially, but I thought at the last moment that surgery is a very individualistic sort of approach, whereas public health and epidemiology, which I did my master's in from a very good university in Punjab, one of the best public health schools actually in India, is more of a global thing. It's a bigger scenario thing. So I ended up choosing that. And I remember the first couple months, moving to Punjab, first time stepping out of home and, just proving to mom that yes, I can do it all by myself, and like I'm going alone and I'm doing all of it, and finding a house to stay by myself. And there were people who really did help me. God bless them. I mean, I met people in moments of life where I needed. And that is why I say that, like destiny has a bigger plan. So yeah, so I was very homesick. I didn't really know how to cook. I just knew like survival food, and I could not eat Punjabi food at all. I mean, it was so rich for me coming from the northeast. I am just used to eating very simple food, and Punjab was like a shock of ghee and masalas and everything to me. And I was, after a month of it, I was like, no, I have to just eat my survival food. I have to just cook dal and rice and I'll eat that and I'll be okay, but I cannot eat any of this. I adore Punjabi food right now, but I still cannot digest it, alright? I cannot eat it as a meal every day, or North Indian food per se, yeah. So yeah, that's what happened in the initial days, and I was homesick. I wanted to come back. The culture shock was huge. People in Punjab are like Punjabis, okay, and we are like Assamese, right? We're cool, we're laid back, we have a very easy way of lifestyle. We do things lahe lahe, like that's a term. Slowly, dhire dhire, right? Okay, slowly. Like we even talk softly, all of that. And Punjab was like a shock. Everybody is like full on energy. And I was feeling so out of place initially. And then came the time to pick my master's research topic, and I don't know what went inside me. I always had this thing inside me that I want to be different. I want to stand out. I want to do something more than what others are doing, okay? And I chose to do research on a topic which nobody else previously had worked on in my whole department of public health and epidemiology. I chose to work on RNA viruses from monkeys, primates, to humans, okay, like transmission between zoonotic transmission, basically. And I remember the day the HOD, Dr. Gill, he was the HOD back then, and now he's the director of research of that institute. So Dr. Gill called me and he was like, why do you want to, extend your degree? This is not easy what you're embarking on. This is not a very good idea. Why do you want to extend your degree by yourself? I'm warning you, I have to warn you. And I was like, sir, it's okay, but I want to do this. I want to do something different, which nobody has done before, like stupid things in my head. And eventually, Dr. Gill, you were right. My master's got extended by a year. And since I was doing something very different from what my other colleagues were working on, I was mostly isolated and doing, because it was all viral work and it's very isolating. I have to be alone. I can't be interacting with too many people. So it was very lonely work. And I fell into depression then. My master's got extended by a year. All my friends left and new people came in. I saw new faces around me and I was the only one still working on the same thing because of my decision. But anyway, but that's also, I count it as a part of life, a phase of life which changed, like I was talking about the butterfly effect. Basically, one decision I took there and it changed my course of life. Maybe if I would have chosen something easy to work on, maybe I would have still been a veterinarian, but I chose something different and it took me on a completely different path of life. And I fell into depression. I went back home. I told my mom that, see, I did 8 years of what you asked me to do. 8 years is a lot. Please, now let me do what I want to do. So I was at that time doing small, odd little fashion jobs here and there, like doing part-time modeling throughout my master's and throughout my college also. I won a beauty pageant from Northeast, and I was like just doing here and there. And I told her that I want to give it a try, like let me try at least. And probably she just took sympathy at me because I was like so sad at that time, and she just let me. And I moved to Delhi, and Delhi was a different shock again. I mean, Assam, Guwahati, Ludhiana, Punjab, these are still smaller steps, I would say. And coming to Delhi was a different experience. I mean, people can be rude here. People can rip you off here. I mean, if you're not street smart enough, God. I mean, not everybody in Delhi is like this, but yes, you could be taken advantage of if you're not smart enough. So I also realized at that time that, I have to spend more to live in Delhi. Of course, come on. I mean, that's common sense, but I didn't realize at that time that, I'm coming to live here, I'm coming to make a life here, but with what, really? I didn't take up a job as a veterinarian, right? I didn't have a fallback net to at least provide me some financial support. And I was in Punjab and I was living in a very nice, posh colony, nice house, but for just like 8-10K. And coming to Delhi, I could not find anything decent for even 15 or 20K, for God's sake. I was like horrified. And I was like, damn, please take me back home. I would rather go home to live in... I mean, there are so many people who are living in... I'm not trying to demean any of you. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. But I got scared at that initial time. But there were people, I mean, Onkon, he was a friend of mine. He was a friend of my sister's, actually. And he just out of the blue just turned up in my life and he said, okay, while you're house hunting, you can live at my place. And thank you for doing that to me. I mean, like helping me through that phase, Onkon. You're amazing. So I met people like that. Like, when I was depressed in Punjab, I met this amazing couple, Kavita and Pankaj, and they helped me get through life and stay alive, you know. Like, I stopped eating and everything, and they used to feed me like their own child and counsel me, like, to stay alive, okay, hang on there. So these, you know, I never made friends like key friends for life from school or from where the place I work or place I studied in. I'm a very like a picky, choosy kind of person, and all my friends who I really are close friends of mine have turned up somehow in my life at like different points. They just cropped up from somewhere, and that's why I believe in destiny. Like that, you know, it's planned. It's all planned. That's how they turned up in my life, and yeah, like I have a good, small, very small group of people, but a good supportive group of people. So yeah, Kavita, Pankaj, thank you too. Ankon, thank you too. And yeah, then story goes on. And the fashion industry I got into, that was also a shock, like because I was doing like small jobs before, and I didn't see the entirety of the fashion industry, how aggressive this career is. God, I can't tell you. It's hard work. It's not glamour and just beauty and everything, okay, that you see as the end result. It's hard work. It's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of competition. It's a lot of mental trauma which you have to like endure and get over and have a thick skin. You cannot survive in the fashion industry if you do not have a thick skin. God, I had to develop that. I mean, because you know everything is based on looks here. Nobody gives a damn about if I'm a doctor, there's a DR in front of my name, or how much brain I have, or whatever. What's my IQ? Nobody cares. Everybody cares how I look. And there are 10 other girls who look better than me. So I had to learn to take rejection positively. I mean, to say, okay, I got rejected, it's alright, I'll give another try. To learn that basically. At first, it used to bog me down a lot, but time teaches you eventually, and those childhood lessons of resilience and, you know, persistence and grit really helped me survive in this industry. I'm not at the top list of models yet, but yeah, I am surviving now. I'm still doing okay, and yeah, I have a long way to go. So that's about how I came into fashion. I'm always fascinated by the fashion industry. I mean, the creativity that comes out of the people's brains is amazing. Seriously, I just love, not always, because not all people are nice. That's everywhere. But there are also very nice people and very creative people. And just to be in that room, to observe everybody pouring creative ideas out of their head, just being in that energy, I just feel high absorbing that energy, I would say. So, well, it's been 2 years that I've been modeling full time, and then again in 2019 I fell into depression again because I realized that this isn't happening. I mean, this isn't going to sustain me for life. I have to think of something else. I mean, I'm not getting enough work, or I'm not a supermodel that I can sustain my whole life on, you know, just modeling money. So again, so many things started changing, and inside me I started having this chaos that I was a veterinarian, I was a public health and epidemiologist, and I jumped all of it, I left all of it. Now I'm a fashion model and I'm confused whether I should go ahead with it, like if I should stick with it, if I should become something else. Like, all of it became so much to me, and like that burdened me, and I fell into depression again. And that's when I found spirituality. That's when, you know, like Amishi, that organization, really like helped me in my life to find calm. I started meditating, I started yoga. I always was into, you know, fast sports, like, you know, active sports, like playing something, riding horses, basketball, volleyball, running track. But to do something so calm and so slow and so focused as yoga, I could never imagine myself doing that. And meditation and spirituality and all of that really centered me. I was in chaos. If you have been following me on social media from before, you would know that I was in absolute chaos in the beginning of this year. I was fighting with everybody on social media about political reasons and all of it. I have strong political views. But so I was quite messed, and people started getting concerned about me and all of that. And I realized that it was time that I start taking medication this time. Because, I mean, this is a phase that I really need to like get my head together and do something. You know, I'm at the rock bottom of my life. I need to do something now. I still cannot go running around crazy and just being mad at everything. So I got into medication and everything, and it slowly started helping me. But yes, I have lost weight, which I have talked about before on my social media pages. I've lost a lot of weight because of this phase of my life. But anyway, I'm working on it. I'm growing. My only thing is like grow in life, self-growth, constant self-growth. Never settle. From there, I have a OnePlus phone and I'm doing this all on my phone. I hope it's still running. I hope the video is still running, please God. So OnePlus has the tag never settle, and that is why it's so dear to me. One, it's a good phone, and yeah, never settle is my own thing. I don't want to settle into something. I want to always be doing something more and more and more, and learning something more and more and more. Always. I want to be learning and absorbing and growing. I mean, and growth doesn't mean that you have to grow financially always. Growth also means inner growth. Growth mentally and spiritually, you know, personal growth. I believe in that. So well, that is why I have a OnePlus phone, but whatever. And yeah, so Corona happened and everything, and you know, for quite a few months I didn't have work at all. I was sitting at home going crazy and thinking what I should do, because I thought if I could keep modeling, if I could constantly keep modeling and earning and, you know, surviving on that, I could slowly make a better plan. And then Corona happened, and I realized that there's no time anymore. I have to quickly now switch. I have to do something, immediately change into something. And that was like mind-boggling at me at that time. But then eventually I found out ways. I started working at first with my boyfriend who has an endeavor named Alternates, which is an online education platform, and I started working with him building that. Then I started working with Amishi, which is a spiritual organization, and it focuses on energy healing, meditation, and spiritual teachings and all of that. So I started working with them. That was also a way of learning spirituality and self-growth. Alternates also was a way of learning for me how to run a business, how to, you know, I learned a lot from Prasoon and Shefali, these people. So yeah, like, and now I am doing this. So I don't know where this will take me, but I am doing this. So I hope this takes me somewhere, but because I hope to get somewhere, but this definitely is teaching me a lot. I mean, I'm learning new skills. I'm learning to handle photography and camera and lighting and everything on my own now, and editing slowly by slowly, and that's okay. But yeah, constantly learning something new in life. And yes, I want to do something more after this. I mean, I am not just going to stop at being a YouTuber or a fashion model or just a veterinary doctor. I'm going to be more. So yes, that is probably my story in short, an overview, I guess. So I guess I'll leave you with a quote which I abide by, which I believe in completely, that no matter how many times you burn down, get up, dust yourself, rise like a phoenix. Be a beautiful, colorful bird. Every time you burn down, get up. be a phoenix, fly colorfully. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I believe in, my thing. So yeah, I'll be posting one episode of Magical Life. This was the first, and every Tuesday I guess you can expect one episode of Magical Life, and every Friday or so maybe you can expect another from Horizon Yashro. So Magical Life, one episode every week. Look forward to it. I hope you liked listening to my story and that you liked the concept of Magical Life basically, and you will stick by me, watch me grow and grow with me. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Lots of happiness, lots of love to each of you. Stick by me. Please subscribe, please like my video, please share my video, please do that for me. Oh yeah, so thank you so much. I'll see you very soon again.